New developments this morning. Police have busted 2 large operations. So we're talking about $35 million seized by police.
Questions. That's what investigators are going over right now.
I'm not guilty. You're the one who's guilty. The lawmakers, the politicians, the Colombian drug lords, all you who lobby against making drugs legal. Just like you did with alcohol during the Prohibition. You're the one who's guilty. I mean, come on, let's kick the ballistics here. Ain't no Uzis made in Harlem. Not one of us in here owns a poppy fee. Owns a poppy fee. This is big business. This is the American way. This is the American way.
With minimum wage at $3.35 per hour, and the heroin epidemic still in effect, the 80s was a different era like no other. Abandoned buildings, vacant lots, food stamps, and government cheese was the norm for many households at this time. That environment led to young kids becoming young hustlers by any means.
Harlem, well, up there, Harlem, Harlem, up there, Harlem, Harlem.
Young hustlers like Jesse Gray, the Cisco Kid, and Freddie Myers became millionaires in the heroin era.
Oh man, we was young kids then, 16, 17, maybe 2 years later, we wind up being business associates. We was doing things on a grand scale. Money was growing on trees in Harlem then, man. You come right here, shake a tree, $100 bills came out. We did things for one another. We let each other owe each other millions of dollars. Of course, we ain't had no place to keep it. We couldn't hide it. Because you can't hide $2-3 million in fives and singles. That's something that the average person can't grasp. They can't grasp a black man being able to do something that Italian boy can't do.
But something happened in 1979 to 1980 at the start of the new era. 3 young kids entered the game at a time where it was impossible to open a block and get money on your own without being sanctioned. Before the crack era and before it became normal, they were buying foreign cars with cash at 15 years old while still in high school. They were the blueprint before the blueprint.
They set the trends first. They made us want to do them.
From that trio was another hustler that grew up with them, who also entered the game and set his mark, Richard Porter.
Rich was a real smooth motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Smoothest black brother out here. Smooth. Style was magnificent.
My man was like a star, man, for real. Without the Hollywood, man. I'm riding around with him. They like, yo, everywhere you go, yo, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Everything good? Yo, who that? That's my man. Then he introduced you. Now you know 800 other people now from riding around in the car with Rich one day. You know 800 new people. And it was just like that, man. Wherever he went, man. Bronx, Harlem, everywhere he went, Rich knew somebody, man.
Rich always took it to that next level. You know what I'm saying? When it came to whatever, first million parties, shit like that we had, you know what I'm saying?
There'll never be another Rich Porter, man, bottom line, man.
While Rich Porter was doing his thing down the hill, AZ was starting his rise when he met Lulu, a connect with unbelievable prices.
I was getting joints for a dirt price, man. I don't think nobody on the street can compete with the prices I was getting for. And I ain't even want to say the numbers, you know?
AZ hit the streets with a new coke gimmick, and it started to make waves through Harlem. He moved from St. Nicholas to his new spot, the Jukebox. Around this time, a young stick-up kid from the east side named Alpo
in broad daylight, stick-up kids, they run up.
was put on by AZ.
When Poe went over there and got that money with them West Side niggas,
so I see opportunity, so I said, okay, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be. This is who I need to work with. This is who I need to impress. This is who I need to get up under. So I ain't got no problem with that, man. I know how to grind. I started from the bottom.
I wasn't the richest nigga in Harlem, but he was one of the most popular
because of the shit that he was doing.
After the jukebox started to get too hot for AZ, he then moved his operation to 132nd and 7th Avenue, the location.
The location 132. Yo, Tone, should I bring the rest of the crew? Whip, alpo, big Jess, and Rich, yeah. And bring the mags, body bags, and extra clips. Cause the posse's about to flip. Big Lou, kick that gangsta shit.
Right here is where AZ owned this store. It was a candy store like it is now. The block always was quiet like this. A lot of money was being made here. A lot of hustlers came here and picked up from all over. Queens, Brooklyn, Westchester, all over Harlem and the Bronx. They came right here to meet us. Between here and this corner, the garage right there is where we parked all our cars at, right next to Rich's mom's house.
The infamous garage held most of the cars owned by AZ, Rich Porter and Alpo.
Nigga had like 40-something joints, man. It was real, man. I might have had like 40-something joints throughout the hustling game. Rich might have had like 40-something joints. Ho might have had like 40-something joints. You know, niggas getting it, man.
And then if we gonna take it to the era, wasn't none of them cats doing it like we was doing it, because when we was young, we had a garage with cars on every floor, and I'm talking about everything European, man.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
For.
So if I went to the garage to take the Benz and the Benz was going, I could take the Porsche. And if I went to get the Porsche and the Benz was going, I could take the 7.
Yeah.
And if that was going, I could take the wagon. And if there wasn't no cars there, I could take a dirt bike. So I don't know none of them cats. All of them is fake to me, man.
You bought everything you had with cash. There was no credit, no loans, no lease.
And I can recall one day going in the dealer with a magazine and shit, and I wanted the car in the magazine. Fuck the cars that was on the floor. The year might have been 86. But I wanted the 88 joint. Think futuristic, could get some 88 shit on these niggas. Took the money in there. So if you could get it from me, whatever it is, you keep the difference. You make a few phone calls and he get you the joint. Now you the first nigga in the USA with the brand new 735.
Me and A bust out with the 735s. We was the first one with them.
While on the east side of Harlem, another group of young teenagers out of Wagner projects, called the Get Paid Brothers, was getting money before the crack era hit. Around 1980, these young 14-year-old kids ventured out of their neighborhoods and started getting major money. Guys like Billy, Big Lomax, E.G., Fonz, and Bob Lemon, just to name a few, were a major influence on the east side of Harlem. Whether it was flipping bundles of dust on the west side of 123rd Street or any other hustle, the Get Paid Brothers lived up to their name. As years passed, their influence carried well beyond their projects. For example, Fonz was the first to have the Dapper Dan parka. It was said Alpo looked up to Fonz and had Dapper Dan make one just like Fonz. Bob Lemon also continued to represent the name, the Get Paid Brothers, bringing obsession to the east side, making $300,000 to $400,000 a day.
He sat down, brought his plan to the table.
It was a wrap. It didn't even take 24 hours to know what that was. The whole lifestyle changed.
$400,000 or $500,000 a day. That nigga had a little red Ferrari with MCM seats in it, and the next week he had 750s on the block.
The money was coming so fast, and lots of it. Bob Lemon fell under investigation and got low in Florida.
He went on the low because he knew it was on there. Still out there doing us, still running, moving. Bob just calling, getting that money sent to him or somebody bringing it down to him.
After being on the run for a while, the FBI arrested Bob Lemon and hit him with the 848 Kingpin charge. In 2021, Bob Lemon was released from serving a 30-year sentence in federal prison. Upon his release, he made it his mission to become a positive voice for the youth and young men at risk, directing them in the right path.
The judge said that I'm the type of guy that needs to be in the community giving back.
Penton took his judge's advice. He joined anti-violence organizations like Lead by Example and even started one of his own.
Bob Lemon founded his nonprofit organization and became a community activist. His work has helped and provided assistance to thousands of kids and young men in Harlem and throughout the city of New York.
What's the famous there? You broke? Don't bust my balls, Noodles. I am talking about real money.
This is real money to me. It's a lot of money.
you want any of it, you'll carry that stink of the streets with you the rest of your life.
I like the stink of the streets. It makes me feel good. I like the smell of it. It opens up my lungs.
For years, Wagner Projects was neighbors with the most powerful Italian mob family in America, the Genovese family, whose headquarters was Pleasant Avenue, the same avenue with Section 1 of that projects. Also, the original Purple Gang, who years later was adapted by a crew a couple blocks up that was dominating the crack scene in that area, the Purple City Crew.
I came up with an idea. I said, fuck it, when I come home, I'm gonna start selling $3 bottles.
Purple City was bigger than just a neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? They had purple everything. You hear what I'm telling you, my man? BMs with purple neon lights under the bottom.
Purple 850.
Niggas had purple faces in their Rolexes.
Lives was so crazy that we had to be on the other side of the gates that surround Taino. We wouldn't get mauled by the fiend.
Every motherfucking day from 7 in the morning to motherfucking maybe 4:30 the next morning. You probably only had 2 hours and a half to rest, man.
Nobody used to sleep because the money was so good. Outside. Your car was parked there, I'm stretched out on your car.
For the first time in a while, it was a quiet night in what drug dealers dubbed Purple City on 122nd Street. Tonight, that operation is shut down.
I was in the investigation for 2 years and shit. They knew every motherfucking stash house that I had. They knew every crib that I had. You know, they even know the house I had in Puerto Rico. They knew, you know, they knew everything and shit by then and shit. So they were ready to own me like a motherfucking cheap suit.
They are the Purple Top Gang, known for the crack vials with purple tops. And 2 of them are hiding from police right now, but other suspected members are locked up tonight.
In an early morning raid, police arrested 8 gang members and seized half a dozen cars with purple running lights. Manhattan DA Robert Morgenthau says the group ran a $14 million a year operation.
I was afraid we might be able to discuss some more business. Man, the money's scattered, which is crazy. I'm telling you, dog, it's a gold mine out here.
By the mid to late 80s, the East Side was making a serious run with million-dollar blocks up and down First Avenue.
First Avenue was a market. Every building in the project had a different color top.
From First Avenue to Second Avenue, 3rd, Lex, Park, Madison Avenue, 5th Avenue. Harlem was getting money from the Bow Brothers on the East Side to the Frost Brothers on the West.
Back in the 80s, Harlem was popping. It was so many people doing a thing.
Lennox Avenue, 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue, St. Nick.
You had 132nd and 8th, 144th and 7th, Edgecombe Avenue, 145th. Jamaicans had that on lock. 143rd Hamilton Place.
Amsterdam, Bradhurst.
129th and Lennox. 129th and Madison. You had 112th.
Edgecombe, Manhattan Avenue, Broadway, and all the side blocks. Millions was being made daily by young teenagers.
The Harlem niggas was the most super flamboyant fly niggas on earth, man.
Even the big dudes that was in Queens, the big dudes that was in the Bronx, the big dudes that was in Brooklyn, they was all coming to Harlem.
Everything was selling.
I don't think nobody in the city was moving like what's going on in Harlem.
We was the youngest niggas probably in history to ever do it the way we did it.
There were many in Harlem who was getting it.
By the late 80s to early 90s, the era was still in effect. Although many young kids had already made millions from it, that didn't stop a new generation from tapping in.
I wanted some twin beds for my brother and I, simple things, a microwave.
The Yellow Top Crew, also known by the initials YTC and the name Young Talented Children, was a crew that operated in Manhattan Valley on the Upper West Side of New York City during the late 80s to early 90s. YTC was founded by 2 individuals known by their street names, Tito and Chaingo.
I initially started selling, like I said, thinking I'm gonna help with just simple things. I just wanted to tell my mother with an apartment. I wanted some twin beds for my brother and I, simple things, a microwave, things that I saw other people have that we didn't have. And I did all those things for my mother, you know. When you're a young kid and you're making thousands of dollars a day, you know, and $10,000 becomes nothing to you, you want more than that, you know, a week. You get a lot of false sense of power, and your ego grows, and you make a lot of bad decisions. You know, you don't have to be bad to make bad decisions. Good people make bad decisions too.
Following a multi-year investigation, prosecutors dismantled the crew in 1996.
Is Brooklyn in here tonight?
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Puerto Rican Jesus, grew up in Cypress Hills projects in Brooklyn, and immediately became the one his siblings looked up to. As a young kid, Puerto Rican Jesus got into an accident while riding his bike throughout Brooklyn, but instead of the cops taking him to the hospital, they took him to his apartment, which ended up being a lawsuit, and at 18 years old, he received his lawsuit money and invested it in himself as a street pharmacist. Jesus' spot on Picken Avenue was a gold mine, making him over $100,000 a day as a teenager, and he built a strong crew around him and eventually became a millionaire in less than a year. Making money and getting fly was his persona, and was one of the reasons why Mike Tyson took a liking to him. Jesus blended in with Harlem young hustlers effortlessly. He was also a heavy gambler, and CeeLo was his game of choice, often being seen up in Harlem underground gambling spots.
That's nothing, nigga. That's nothing, that's nothing, that's nothing. Look at you. You already know the bank, nigga.
One late night in Harlem, while gambling, Puerto Rican Jesus got into a shootout that left him shot twice. Puerto Rican Jesus was still good in Harlem, as well as his investment, a sneaker store he opened in Harlem. Jesus became good friends with a young Harlem hustler in the area named AZ. They bonded and became good friends and would play basketball regularly. One day, some Brooklyn dudes pulled up while AZ and Puerto Rican Jesus was playing basketball and pulled Jesus to the side. After a brief talk, they got back in the car and left. Puerto Rican Jesus relayed the message to AZ that they came to kill him because of Alpo killing Demencio. In the drug game, your rise and your downfall can simply just be who you know, and AZ experienced both that day. Brooklyn came to kill AZ because of Alpo, but he was saved because of Puerto Rican Jesus. Because of the good qualities that Puerto Rican Jesus possessed, he was often welcomed with open arms throughout Harlem, Baltimore and Washington, D.C., as well as his hometown, Brooklyn. Respected by many hustlers and gangsters.
Cough up a lung where I'm from. Marcy, son, ain't nothing nice.
Cough up a lung where I'm from. Marcy, son, ain't nothing nice.
Danny Diamonds, that's the king of Marcy Projects.
Danny Diamonds, aka the king of Brooklyn's Marcy Projects, was strong in the 80s.
This is where it all happened. This is where the empire started to grow, come alive.
The money was coming in so fast, we didn't know what to do with it.
2 safes on the top floor. There was a safe in the middle floor, and of course I had a safe in the basement. The whole house was loaded with safes, about 4 safes in totality in this house.
Danny had a major connect that was hitting him with the best quality and the best prices, putting him in a position to give others the opportunity to make money. And a young hustler in Red Hook projects would benefit and become his general.
Danny would say, "Yo, Klein, that's one of my generals," you know what I mean?
Once Calvin Klein hooked up with Danny, his life changed and he never looked back.
I went from 28 grams from 62 to calling a nigga like an hour later. I kept my flip going. From a half, I should be getting a joint action by 12 noon.
The government had estimated that Calvin Klein was worth $28 million.
Let's just say if I was worth $28 million, break that down to half, break it down to half again, and then break it down to half again, and I still make me a multi-million-dollar dealer.
The Marcy and Red Hook projects connection continued when Calvin Klein linked up with the Haven Arby and Sean Carter.
I ain't gonna front. Klein, I can't lie, man. I made money with the brother, you know what I mean?
Klein he coming out of town. I'm getting rid of 10 bricks a week, but I got the clientele for 20. Oh, you got the other 10? Yeah, I got the other 10. Bet. Well, let's do something. I made a lot of money with him outside of what I already had going on. Right. Klein was just extra. How would I say, yo, shit was wonderful up until one time, you know, he come down on my end and create some bullshit, get into some Brooklyn dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? With the, who this nigga staring at old shit.
Shit happened with him and Jay, and they caught a case.
A case that he and I caught in '89. We was at a party, mayhem just broke out. You know, we being from Brooklyn, being from New York, wasn't that many people with us. Probably maybe say a dozen of us, a little less than a dozen, going up against like maybe say 200 people in the party. When it all broke down, we all went back to back. Jay and I wound up being the one to get caught, charged with attempt murder to maim, battery, assault, and possession of a deadly weapon. But we worked matters out where he didn't have to charge Jay. So I had just got acquitted for the murder in '89. This incident right here was only 45 days after my acquittal. Jay was like, you know, yo, Klein, you've been through a lot. I don't really have no record. You know, I could take the weight for the case and things of that nature. So I told him, nah, man, I'm gonna take the weight of the case. I just want you to go home, straighten everything out, come back, you know, and bail me out. That's what happened. Jay testified on my behalf and it worked out. You know, I wound up not facing 40 years, but I wound up blowing trial to 4 years, which was an assault.
You want some keys? You know what I'm saying? It's bad. So they want the keys?
I'm saying, where the keys at?
Let me give them the keys. You know? Yeah, that's 30 keys right there. That's 30 bricks right there for you.
I ain't got nothing bad to say about, you know, Klein from what I know when I was dealing with him.
I never felt more alive than riding shotgun in Klein's green fire.
Motherfucker Boy George went from a regular little Spanish nigga, right? And this little regular Spanish nigga, he said, yo, he said, after 2 weeks, he said, I'm gonna be rich. And from there, he never came back to school. He was George Rivera to us. After 2 weeks, he turned into Boy George.
Boy George got his major start in the streets, working with the Torres brothers selling Blue Thunder. But in 1987, the Torres brothers was arrested and charged with running a $200 million a year heroin franchise, leaving Boy George to become his own boss. And now being supplied with top quality heroin through the Tongs, a Chinese connect by way of the Flying Dragons, he started bringing in $100,000 a week just to start. And in no time, Boy George expanded his operation through the Bronx and various parts in New York City, becoming a young millionaire. In 1988, Boy George gave a black tie affair, an extravagant party on a luxury yacht for Obsession crew members and a few friends. He had cash giveaways, a car, and gold name buckles with the name Obsession in diamonds. Boy George had the group TKA and Big Daddy Kane perform, but there were others in attendance. And just a few months later, in April 1989, the investigation into Boy George began with wiretaps. And in May 1989, after an unprecedented 2-year run, Boy George was arrested, named in a 14-count indictment with over 30 defendants and with a cooperating witness from the Obsession organization. Boy George became the youngest to ever be charged with the federal kingpin statute, conspiracy to distribute 100 kilos of heroin, and an attempted $5 million tax invasion. In 1991, Boy George received life without parole.
Everybody was hustling, man. Buying cars, jewelry. You know, you kids, we don't know no better. I used to come downtown on my own at this point, because again, I'm right across the bridge. You know, from Ogden to 135th Street is 10 minutes. You know, what I was doing in the Bronx was like popcorn shit. But I seen what they was doing downtown. I'd never seen nothing like that. I remember having holes in my sneakers. Actually putting cardboard in the bottom of my sneakers.
Growing up in the High Bridge and Soundview section of the Bronx, Kevin Childs got his introduction as a street pharmacist by selling loose weed joints. And by his senior year in high school, he started selling. By the time 1985 to 1986 came around, Kevin got introduced to another young hustler from Harlem named Nappy Red. The two would become partners, scaling up from a couple $100s a day to $30,000 a day at their new crack spot. In the mid-'80s, a drought hit New York, and Kevin Childs had an idea after watching the movie Scarface.
What actually happened was there was a drought in New York at the time. And what a drought is where a shipment coming into the country may got caught. And the price of drugs will go from, we might have been paying 20 at the time to maybe 40 or double, if you're even able to get it. During that time, a drought had came about, and we probably had just saw the movie, maybe, within the last couple of months or something or whatever. And I don't know who came up with the bright idea. It was probably a collective thing, and we just jumped on a plane with a bunch of money, our jewelry, and went down to Miami, and in hopes of finding a connect. But we end up actually meeting a guy from Florida, a very well-known drug dealer. He's passed away now. His name is Sam Ferguson. They called him P-Man Sam. And from there, that's where the relationship came from.
With his new Miami Connect, Kevin Childs would go on to purchase multiple keys. He started to expand to other states, including Washington, D.C. At his peak, Kevin was making $300,000 per week. By the time 1987 came around, Kevin was having a good year. Him and his cousin purchased a Jeep, took the top off, and rolled around throwing thousands of dollars out to the community. In 1989, tragedy struck. 3 masked men abducted a teenage girl, robbed her, and demanded more money. Somehow, she ended up leading them to Kevin Childs' mother's house. The gunmen ended up shooting everyone in the house, including Kevin Childs' mother and the teenage girl that they abducted, leaving one survivor.
It affected me a certain kind of way. That's a fact. That was my run when the government was investigating. I was being investigated.
After a long run on the streets, Kevin Childs became aware that the feds was investigating and following him. In 1994, Kevin Childs, along with 21 co-defendants, including his children's mother and other family members, was arrested. The government claimed he made over $40 million. Like many other organizations, the feds had a cooperating witness, a guy Kevin Childs once helped and saved his life. Kevin remained in prison for up to 2 years before his trial started. And after 2 trials, both ended in a hung jury, the government offered Kevin Childs a 10-year plea. He accepted under one condition, that his best friend also received 10 years instead of the 17 years that he was sentenced to.
Hey yo, Queens get the money, long time no cash. I'm trying to tell these young niggas crime don't pay. They looked at me and said, Queens niggas don't play. Do your thing, I'll do one, kids stay out of my way.
Not to glorify, but we were the stars back then, of the neighborhood.
If it wasn't for them, I know a lot of this would have never happened.
Supplying a lot of people. All them niggas, the big name niggas that you think was running this shit, cause I ain't gonna incriminate niggas, but all them big name niggas you think from Queens that was doing it, that's who they was going, you know what I mean? That's who they was hollering at.
Originally from Harlem, Tony, Lance, and Todd, the Furtado brothers moved to the borough of Queens on the south side, home to celebrities like Russell Simmons, Damon John, 50 Cent, and Irv Gotti. With only being 1 year apart, the 3 brothers made their way into the streets like most young children, selling weed to help the family make ends meet.
To have 20, 30 pounds of weed back then was major, and especially being at 12 and 13 years old. Out of 1,500 people that was all associated gang members, at least 500 of those sold weed for my brother.
Tony, being the oldest and considered the mastermind, made a switch to powdered coke in the early 80s, and the brothers became major players, supplying many big names throughout Queens. Their 7 Crown members, like the Fat Cat Organization and the Supreme Team, and other states. The Kings of Kings was a name the Queens streets anointed them with. The Furtado brothers were buying large quantities of kilos, but never on consignment. They became so large, they began purchasing their work straight from a cartel in Colombia. The government estimated that the Furtado brothers was doing 3,000 keys every 6 months and 200 keys of pulling in $15 million to $30 million each week. Again, they never took consignment. Lance would credit their 20-plus year run as they knew how to get ghost, meaning they knew how to get low. Since 1979, the Furtado brothers stayed on the radar of law enforcement, but their ability to shut it down for a year at a time kept them afloat and on top of the game. A major connect that the brothers was dealing with was also dealing with the government to bring them down. And in 1995, they was arrested, along with 32 people in 9 different states. The brothers eventually pleaded guilty to drug conspiracy and money laundering charges. Tony received 18 years, Lance received 15 years, and Todd received 7 years and 11 months because of no physical evidence. All 3 brothers are now home, spreading positive messages and mentoring the younger generation that the streets is a no-win situation. They created the anti-drug, anti-gang warrior tour that they implement through schools and a series of workshops.
Can it be that it was all so simple then?
The epidemic arrived on Staten Island a little later than other New York City boroughs, but the effects was the same: addiction and violence.
I set it off with
I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side. Staying alive was no job.
I was talking about my projects.
You know, back then, you know, dudes was in them streets. All we was doing was just growing up, just trying to have a little kick money, and next thing you know, we start jumping in the silk shirts, the gold and Wallaby Clarks. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get fresh. Hanging with live niggas. All that shit is like real shit.
Public houses like Park Hill, renamed Killer Hill, became one of the major centers for the drug trade on that borough.
Police operator 174. Yeah, 160 Park Hill, Staten Island, New York. They running with guns in front of buildings.
Everything out here is a low-life grind. Whether you sell crack, dust, weed, whatever, I don't give a fuck what you sell on this block. You know what I'm saying? It's a grind. And if you're not getting along with the people that's grinding, then you need to get the fuck off the block, because we hustle hard, and we're going to take it serious.
Crack is one of the worst drugs I ever seen. The neighborhood was just so wild.
Staten Island is a place where anything can happen. We went through our wars when we didn't have no numbers up in this motherfucker. The 88 summer, the 89 summer, when Brooklyn tried to attack, Queens tried to attack, Bronx tried to attack, Manhattan tried to attack. They know about it.
You know, everybody was trying to get to that cream.
And the kingpin at that time was a guy named Dusty.
When they came in, I mean, shit, that's how I learned about crack. It's like we wanted to be like the niggas so bad, but we didn't like the niggas.
2 life sentences plus 80 years ended Dusty's run on Staten Island.
I don't know what's more addictive. Selling get high or getting high. Oh, you don't know this shit fuck up lives on both sides of the fence.
You